Before we begin, viewer discretion is strongly advised. The following is for educational and entertainment purposes only. This is the verbatim federal courtroom testimony of the Sean Diddy Combs trial as reported by Inner City Press. There were no cameras in the room, no live feeds, no reporters snapping photos from the gallery. But what happened inside that federal courtroom? What was said behind those tightly guarded doors sent shockwaves through every corner of Hollywood. Jamie Foxx, one of the most respected and versatile performers of our time, had just taken the stand. And according to those present, he was not acting. His hands trembled, his voice cracked, and then, without warning, he broke down, sobbing and screaming in front of the jury as he recounted what he saw one fateful night inside Sean Diddy Combs' mansion. Leaked notes from the court transcript, combined with detailed sketches and eyewitness reports, paint a horrifying picture. This wasn't the same Jamie Foxx the public knew, the confident, charming, unshakable entertainer. This was a man haunted. And as his words poured out, those in the courtroom sat frozen. It wasn't just what he saw, it was how it was hidden, how everything seemed orchestrated, protected, and how for years no one dared to speak up. Jamie Foxx's connection to Sean Diddy Combs was well documented over the years. In public, they often shared laughs, exchanged friendly jabs during award show after parties, and even posed for pictures that screamed luxury, brotherhood, and power. But according to leaked notes from the federal court's first week, that brotherhood was nothing more than a mask, a carefully curated illusion that crumbled the night Jamie accepted an invitation to spend the night at Diddy's infamous mansion. In his emotional testimony, Jamie started by explaining the relationship. We all wanted to be part of the circle. He said, Diddy's house was where the music lived, the deals, the energy. It was like entering a palace of influence. But what Jamie didn't realize, according to his words under oath, was that some parties weren't meant for celebration. They were meant for initiation. That night, Foxx recounted being led into a private wing of the mansion after an evening of heavy drinking and luxury lounging. There were people I didn't recognize, people who weren't artists, producers, or executives, people who looked uncomfortable. His voice reportedly dropped to a whisper. They told me to stay, to relax, that Diddy had a surprise. He described the atmosphere shift, the way the lights dimmed, the laughter faded, and the guests began separating into smaller, secretive rooms. One of Diddy's aides allegedly escorted Foxx to a soundproofed theater inside the mansion where a video had already been queued up. I was confused. I didn't know what was going on. They said, "This is where we bond." What followed, Foxx said, left him mentally wrecked for years. It was like nothing I'd ever seen. I didn't know if it was real or staged, but I know what I felt. My stomach dropped. I got up. I wanted to leave, but the doors were locked. They told me to watch, said, "Everyone who's somebody has been through this." His account sent chills through the courtroom, according to a reporter who had spoken to someone present. Foxx reportedly paused, took a long breath, and said, "I never asked to see that, and I've spent every day since trying to forget it." The judge, according to transcripts, called for a 5-minute recess to allow Foxx to recover his composure. After the break, Foxx returned to the witness stand with red eyes and shaking hands. The courtroom fell silent again, and what followed was described as a damning breakdown of Hollywood's most whispered secret, the protection of power at all costs. Jamie stated, "When I tried to leave that night, they handed me a glass of something, said it would help me calm down. I didn't drink it. I just said I needed to go." I remember Diddy looking at me cold like he knew what I saw but didn't care like it was part of the plan. But the emotional damage wasn't what hit the courtroom hardest. It was the aftermath. Foxx claimed that in the days that followed, calls started coming in. They weren't threats exactly, just reminders to keep quiet, to stay close. They offered me a deal, an NDA wrapped in a check, 7 figures. He refused, but that's when, according to him, the pushback started. Foxx testified that for years afterward, he experienced a slow decline in major offers, unexplained delays in project funding, and ghosting from producers who had once called him a star. It was a freeze-out. Quiet, but it was real, and I knew why. The courtroom transcript quoted him saying, "I watched careers disappear. People who asked questions just vanished from the conversation. Not dead, just erased." He then went on to describe how other celebrities had confided in him over the years, people who had similar experiences but were too afraid to speak. "You think I'm the only one? You think I'm brave? I'm not. I'm just tired." A gasp reportedly echoed through the gallery when Foxx mentioned by name 3 other well-known entertainers who he claimed were at that mansion during similar parties. The names were redacted in the official court transcript, but multiple outlets have suggested one was a Grammy-winning rapper, another a beloved late-night host, and the third an actress known for activism. Foxx closed this part of his testimony by saying, "We wear smiles, suits, sunglasses, but behind it, a lot of us are broken. Some things you can't unsee." The courtroom grew darker in tone as Jamie Foxx leaned forward to explain the most chilling part of his experience. Not just what he saw that night at Diddy's mansion, but what he learned afterward. What began as a disturbing and surreal encounter spiraled into something deeper, more calculated, and far more terrifying than he'd ever imagined. This wasn't just about a strange party or a few off-color incidents. It was about systematic control, leverage, and blackmail. Jaime's tone shifted from emotional to analytical as he spoke about the existence of a hidden archive, an alleged vault of digital recordings stored within a private encrypted server somewhere on Did's estate. He hadn't seen the room himself, but he claimed that several insiders, including a former house manager and 2 security guards who have since disappeared from the public eye, confirmed its existence. They described it as a surveillance nerve center complete with monitors, secured hard drives, and locked cabinets that only a select few had access to. "They kept everything," Jaime said, pausing to let the words settle in the air. Not just clips of people partying. They filmed things they knew no one wanted public. They filmed it without consent. Hidden cameras, some in bedrooms, some in hallways, bathrooms. People didn't know. You'd think it's just a wild night, but what you didn't know was someone was always recording. He explained that the collection wasn't just a hobby or some trophy room. It was, in his words, a currency of secrets. Footage of celebrities, politicians, executives, athletes. Jaime mentioned that many of them had no idea they'd been filmed in compromising positions. Some intoxicated, others engaged in what could only be described as disturbing or non-consensual behavior. It wasn't just about watching, he added. It was about owning people, making sure no one ever turned against them. Insurance policies. Foxx recounted a moment a few months after his visit to the mansion. A package arrived at his production office. No return address, just his name in sharp black marker. Inside, a flash drive, and on it, a distorted video. Grainy footage of the theater room where Jaime had been that night. His face, his reactions caught on hidden cameras. The angle clearly indicated it wasn't filmed with his knowledge. No audio, just his expressions as he watched whatever played on the screen. The final frame on the drive was a black screen with a single phrase, "Just remember." Foxx said he stared at that screen for over an hour. He didn't sleep that night. "I thought it was a warning," he said. "I was being told, we see you. We own your silence." And I'll be honest, after that, I kept my mouth shut. I didn't know who to trust. Every time I saw another story in the headlines, someone else being accused or someone mysteriously backing away from the industry, I wondered, were they filmed too? He alleged that these archives had been weaponized multiple times, used to shut down lawsuits, silence accusers, even force endorsements or public support from people who had privately cut ties with Diddy. Some of the people you see out there defending him, Jaime said they're not defending him because they like him. They're defending him because they're scared, because they don't want their footage to surface. One of the most damning moments in the testimony came when Jaime spoke of a late-night phone call he received from a well-known actress who had also stayed at the mansion. He didn't reveal her name in court, but described her as someone America viewed as a sweetheart. She was crying. She said she had received a video of herself passed out with someone hovering over her, someone she didn't recognize. She was panicking. She didn't know if it had gone further. She didn't know if anyone would believe her, and I didn't know what to tell her, Foxx admitted. The judge called for a pause after this segment, reportedly concerned about the emotional toll being taken on Foxx, who had grown increasingly distressed. Before stepping down from the stand for a break, Jaime issued one last chilling comment. They don't just collect secrets. They manufacture silence. They build a cage made of your worst moments.